Now we're ready. So good morning. We're going to do our town hall in a virtual format this morning. One thing that I have done is muted most everyone on here. And I did that just because you get feedback noise and things like that. So if you have questions at the end, we're going to do it through the chat function on the bottom or the top of your screen through Zoom. Again, I did that just because we get feedback or background noise that can be disruptive. And I guess the other thing I'd let you know is there may be once or twice where I'm stopping and it looks like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm actually going in and letting more people in. So sometimes I'll get that pop-up that says see waiting room like I am right now. So just give me 1 second and I'll admit some people in to the meeting like I just did. Okay, so there's some more people joining us. We did ask for questions in advance, but we did not receive any. If you have questions, please save them for the end, and we have the chat function set up so that we can review questions and answer them at the end. And we're recording it, and we have recorded at least the last 2 or 3 years worth of town halls, and they're available on our YouTube channel. So we'll make that available probably in an email blast later this week. So if you get cut off or if somebody who wasn't able to attend, we're making it on demand so that information is always available for people. If we don't get to a question or you think of something later, I think at least I would hope that everybody would feel comfortable emailing me or calling me if you have something, and if I can't answer it, I'll certainly get to the person that can answer it. Let's talk about COVID-19 just to start off with. To back up a little bit, we did start in-person worship services on June 15th and have kept, for the most part, the same protocols in place from the first day as we did this morning, and that's sign-ups, face coverings, social distancing, seating in the pews, and just a quick note there about the in-person attendance. Over the last 12 weeks, the average in-person attendance at the 9 a.m. service is 71 people. And the one thing I wanted to touch on about some of the protocols specifically with signups, I'll get asked pretty regularly, when are we not going to require signing in, or I don't necessarily want to sign in to come to church. That is a tough one. I fully appreciate that. The part of the issue is that we really didn't want to get in a position where we had to turn people away at the door and say, hey, we are maxed out on the basis of social distancing, and we really can't safely fit any more people in the sanctuary this morning. The other reason for the signups is, and this has happened, in the event we are made aware of someone who has tested positive for COVID-19, we have a registration list of those that are there and can notify them. That's something that the conference dictates if we are aware of a COVID-19 case. So the signups is really a twofold reason and process there. And I think we're all hopeful that we get past this and can no longer require it. But right now, that is something that we find is needed. Give me 1 second. I'll let a few more people in. Some other things that continue to happen is growth groups do meet live on campus, but all of them have adopted a hybrid solution, so they're also meeting via Zoom. So we have set them up with a laptop computer and a video screen so that they can continue to serve those that aren't coming back onto campus. And since our last town hall, rooted student ministry, youth activities, because we will group Boy Scouts into that also, have resumed modified activities, which means that they do have to follow the face covering, social distancing, have a good attendance list in case there are any issues afterwards, and meet outside. Rooted Student Ministry, our youth program, is permitted to meet inside from time to time.
Yes. There's no sound. I have our sound on.
All right. I think I needed some talking there. I was talking about Rooted and Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts, the group is so large that they're continuing to meet outside. But if it's inclement weather or a smaller group, Rooted is moving inside. Scott touched briefly on the cold weather shelter. The county approached HUM and then the organizations that host cold weather shelters at the very last minute, notifying them that there would be a need for that. So we adopted a plan that's consistent with all of our other COVID-19 protocols. And I think last week we had about 15 guests staying in there. We have a smaller volunteer team. We're doing to-go meals instead of serving. Masks are required. We're spacing them out much further, which actually limits the amount of residents that we can take or guests that we can take. But there are provisions made for that to try to do it as safely as possible and to meet that need. We will be coming up with plans to resume modified children's activities right at the beginning of next year. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I know we're making plans for something very soon. So to talk about our financial report, we continue to receive gifts by a number of different ways, but online has increased. We were at about 30% of our overall gifts was at 30%. Now we're at 54%, just almost all the way through the year. We continue to get giving through the mail or in our in-person worship. That has increased naturally. I mean, obviously that's something that's important, but it's always just awesome to me to think that we continue to just have faithful givers, and not only members but guests, but people from out of state continuing to support the church, even during difficult times in our country and in our community. The giving is under budget by 7%, and that was up until November. We did receive a very large gift, $90,000, which was directly to our operations, which actually puts us ahead for the year. So we were, if I was to give this report just a few weeks ago, we were down 7%, approximately, $70,000, $70,000 to $90,000 underneath our projected budget for this time. But we received that very large gift, and now we're actually ahead for this year. We did open up a Bank of America account to park additional funds to meet that FDIC insured limit, as was suggested by our CPA. The Voya annuity, I touched on this at our last town hall meeting. The church had an annuity, and it was closed or cashed for $321,000 earlier this year. And there was a team that was developed to discuss investment opportunities or reinvestment opportunities for those funds. The investment team was approved by the guide team and is made up of Mark Dunn, myself, Scott Smith, Julia, and Peacha Sanis. And the first thing that the team realized needed to be done was to adopt a investment policy statement. And that investment policy statement gives specific direction to the financial advisor and the guidelines for investing the funds on behalf of the church. So after that was drafted and approved very quickly, the church investment team reviewed and interviewed several different financial advisors and ended up selecting Anchor Financial, which is has office in Ormond Beach and in Port Orange, and it gave an initial investment of $100,000. And I'll talk about there's a difference of $221,000 there in a second. I'll get to where those additional funds are being used. About this time last year, the endowment team was reformed. That's a required team, but for a while had been dormant. So they've been very active, meeting once a month, sometimes a couple times a month to work through some issues on the permanent endowment fund committee. You can see those committee members there. Also, David Manning, who I think is participating in the town hall, is the chairperson. And at the same time, we're developing an investment policy statement for the endowment fund. I just had mentioned that there was one for other church investments, but right now you can see that we also need one for managing the endowment fund. I'll go over the endowment fund goals real quick. You may have recently received an email. One of those goals is to make people aware of the endowment fund and how you can give to it and how it's going to be utilized and some of those goals. So I'll go over the goals, but one of those was right there at the bottom of this page where it says promotional materials and webinar. We filmed a webinar with some professionals in that area, so it's available to be viewed also on our YouTube channel at any time. So the goals for the Permanent Endowment Fund Committee are to provide regular updates to the church congregation and awareness of the fund, grow the fund to $1 million over the next 5 years, and use the mission giving team for approval of requests and review funds for maximum return. So there are very specific and achievable goals that the endowment fund team is working towards, and you'll start to see more and more promotional materials coming out about the endowment fund. We've done in 2020, before pre-pandemic, we had an in-person workshop. Obviously, we weren't able to do that, so we recorded the most recent workshop and made it available for people to view online. One thing kind of out of order on my slideshow here is a review of fund activities and explore other investment opportunities. The team has the obligation to regularly review the performance of the fund and make changes as necessary. So there is plans underway to continue to review the fund, and there may be changes that may be made soon in the event that the current fund activities aren't up to the performance standards of the committee. There we go. Mission giving. Again, Scott, been kind of playing off of some of what Scott shared this morning. Really neat stuff. Really a lot of things to celebrate about our mission giving year so far, despite, again, some of the challenges that we've had. Again, the goal is to give away more than we spend on ourselves. We had a pause. We were raising money for Beacon Center, and then we had to postpone in-person worship gatherings, and then we regrouped. We're able to raise funds for the Beacon Center playground, which has been obviously dispersed to them and constructed and open for children to play there. There's a picture of that on the bottom. The top right-hand corner is Derbyshire Place. We've increased our relationship with them and really found that our congregation enjoys giving in-kind donations, and those are the donations of food or toys or Operation Christmas Child boxes. And to date, I usually try to keep an estimated number of that. We're approaching $25,000 in-kind donations, in food, in bicycles and gifts. We've supported HUM. I also wanted to report, as far as mission giving goes, that we just recently completed the goal for ANUA. So we will be sending on an additional $8,000 to ANUA, which completes the 2-year commitment for First United to support those activities. Some things that you'll see in 2021, the mission giving team is meeting or just has met and developed a comprehensive giving plan for next year. And some of those organizations that you'll see us try to assist financially are Volusia Recovery Alliance and Derbyshire Place again. So you'll see those things come up here soon. We're also supporting a water bottling machine in Kenya, and we'll get more into that next year, but we know that we have supported wells and certain water treatment programs in Africa, and we will continue to develop that relationship through our mission giving. I think the last thing I just report on with that is there's been some challenges with how to adequately communicate these initiatives just with videos. And I know historically we've done a lot of, kind of like what Ryan was talking about today, where that we'll have people in person. That just hasn't been easy this year. So you'll see some things on social media. We made some changes to our communications plan so that we can continue to meet those goals. I'm going to unmute Mark Dunn. Mark Dunn's the SPRC chairperson, and he's going to talk briefly about clergy and staff-related issues.
You good, Brett?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Good morning, Brett. Thanks. So yeah, since our last town hall meeting, we've only had really one new hire with the addition of Jacob Cameron, who is our Director of Communications. He replaced our former Director of Communications, Sydney Green, who resigned in midsummer. Obviously, this position has become even more essential through this period of time. And we actually see this position as being just as critical as we hopefully move into this post-pandemic world. Hopefully that will happen soon. The other issue the topic I want to bring up is just the staff and clergy support. During this time, everyone has really stepped up. The staff and the clergy obviously really stepped up. Handling duties and responsibilities that might have been outside of their original job description. And because of their efforts and obviously the tremendous support from the congregation, we have actually expanded our ministries and missions, as Brett just highlighted a moment ago. So as a lot of churches are contracting, we're actually expanding. We're expanding through our missions and ministries. We're expanding through, obviously, our Western expansion. So as a lot of churches are in kind of in a selling position, a selling mode, we're in a buying mode, so to speak. So we are expanding while most are contracting, and that it appears that we have set ourselves up for tremendous growth once we continue to move through this phase of our society. So all good stuff going on, and the staff and the clergy have stepped up tremendously. And the gifts and the offerings that the congregation have continued to contribute has made a huge difference in what we can do going forward. That's all I got, Brett.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, so just, every once in a while, I'll just kind of share just some operations things, and there really hasn't been too much since our last town hall, but I wanted to report that we had a section of our tailpipe removed and stolen from the church bus. Specifically, it's the catalytic converter, and there's an O2 sensor. I did not know that was still something that people were stealing, but the detective with the Orange Beach Police said that part was stolen and probably on some type of ship out of the United States within just less than a day. So we have filed an insurance claim, and we'll be having that repaired, but I just wanted to, kind of show you some of the things that are going on. Staggered office staffing, that probably falls into the COVID-19 operations report, but we have since we started in-person worship again, adopted a schedule for staff where there's not a lot of overlap. The same people are working Tuesday and Thursdays, and different people are working Monday and Wednesdays, and we've done that to limit exposure between staff members in the event that there's some type of coronavirus issue. Obviously, we're trying to limit people from getting sick, but there's also that possibility that a significant amount of the staff would have to quarantine at one time. So we really are trying our best to divide that up. And I'm sure people may be tired of hearing about QR codes, but I wanted to talk just real quickly about why we use the QR code. After speaking with some other communications directors at other churches in our area, we realized that that's probably the easiest way to access our forms. More than likely, most people are not watching the service on their phone, and then when we get back to larger in-person worship gatherings, you will have your phone and be viewing the service live. That always gives you the ability to access that form quickly. We have those forms on our website, our 26 hours form, our online giving form, our connection card form. We have those, they're housed on the website, but we feel like that was the easiest way. So if you're tired of seeing QR codes or anything, we really feel like that's after thinking through it, that is our wheelhouse for getting people to the form quickly. So I'm hopeful that you'll continue to support those forms and continue to fill those out. The connection card form, again, I'm sure we've said this a few times, that's not an attendance form, but we do have people that track that, so that if all of a sudden we see that someone's not attending or not checking in, then there's a call made to that person. So there's some importance in completing those forms. And I'm sure people may also be tired of me talking about this air conditioning project that's going to be taking place in the sanctuary. Really takes a long time to organize something like this. The pictures that I have there, the bottom one that I have is where that unit is housed. So if you can see my mouse on there, it's actually in the second story behind that block wall. A portion of that block wall will be removed. The unit will be disassembled and removed through the hole in the wall, and then the new unit will be craned in through there. And if you remember, part of this was undertaken because the cooling and heating units are over 20 years old, and catastrophic failure of those at any time would have meant that we would have been without heating and cooling for approximately 4 to 6 months. But by preemptively taking on this project, we're anticipating it taking no more than 6 weeks. So by having those units ordered and ready to be installed, we're saving ourselves a considerable amount of downtime for our sanctuary. So during that time, we will not have heating or cooling in the sanctuary. But we've also fallen into a nice time frame where we're hopeful that the outside air temperature makes it comfortable inside for the hour that we're continuing to have live worship gatherings. You could see that the task team selected Mastercraft out of 4 different bidders. The cost of $218,000 will be paid for out of those remaining Voya annuity funds, and that total cost includes removal of the wall, painting of the wall, replacement. It includes the units. The top picture there is our pump room. We have a chilled water pump, which also is going to be replaced. I think if you zoom in close enough on it, you can see there's rust and corrosion on the pipes and all this, and that all needs to be replaced also. So that's an inclusive cost, and we're pretty comfortable with that. So The project will begin January 11th and last approximately 6 weeks, but we will continue to have worship gatherings during that time. Just some other random news and notes. We've talked about the outdoor Christmas Eve service, which is going to be held at the Pavilion at Destination Daytona. I had to shrink that photo down to fit on the slideshow, but it's huge. I mean, it's really a really large facility. And I did put Ormond Beach because sometimes we can, at least myself, can get confused with Destination Daytona. It's actually Ormond Beach off of US 1. We're asking that you bring your own chair. We are going to require face coverings and have seating set up so that everyone's mindful of social distancing. We did not come up with a good way to do candlelight, so we're going to do glow sticks this year. But this is a really good alternative and should provide enough space for everyone that's wanting to attend a service that's outdoors during this time. We've adopted an initiative to, and it's kind of falling in line with our mission giving team. We've really made some great strides over the past couple of years with being about giving away more than we spend on ourselves, and that's a credit to our mission giving team identifying those opportunities. So we're going to do it something similar. We're going to come up with a team, and we're going to work on some people for that team here very soon that is kind of in line with mission giving team, but it's service oriented, it's service hours and sweat equity related. And that should help with not only our reporting of the 26,000 hours, but identifying and organizing opportunities in our community for anyone to serve. So that team will be created to help drive us towards our goal of 26,000 hours each year. So the opportunity for everyone to serve will be there. It will be the team's job to organize those service opportunities and really try to help us get there. Just some other random stuff. The gutter replacement is our back alley has leaking gutters and broken gutters, and that contributes to roof repairs. So we want to make sure that that's something that is kept up on, requires a lift. So that's why we have to get a professional company to do that. That's a cost of less than $1,000. But you see somebody back there, that's what they're doing. We have our next town hall on the schedule. We'll be reporting on year-end financials, any updates to Williamson, and kind of a lot of the same things that we've talked about, maybe a follow-up on Christmas Eve, and that will be Sunday, January 31st of next year. Julie is going to step in and talk about our update with the sale of the Williamson, a portion of the sale of the Williamson property.
Hi, good morning. Merry Christmas, everyone. The Williamson property sale continues to move forward slowly, but we are moving forward. The big holdup right now is trying to figure out how to do the retention area. And the county needs quite a few acres to have a retention pond. That's going to be related to the widening of Williamson Boulevard. And that will affect, of course, our property as far as what we're selling and also what we are holding on to. But we are in negotiation with our buyer and with the county. We think we have a pretty good solution. And the negotiating team is working with that just to get all the details in order. And we're hopeful that it will work out for all of us involved, for not only our buyers, but for the county and even for us, as far as it would take care of retention for the acreage that we will be holding on to. So hopefully soon we'll be able to come back with something positive in that direction and bring that to the congregation as soon as we get all the details worked out, but we are moving forward. The buyer is still happy. He is still excited about building his community out there, and we're excited to have him, of course. And then just something nice, our covenant restriction with Tomoka Consolidated has expired. So we have no more responsibility as far as asking them who we can sell to and who we can't. So that's just kind of a nice thing to have off the table as we look forward to this sale, hopefully sooner in 2021 than later.
Thanks, Julia. I guess I had forgotten to mention at the beginning. So going forward in all of our town hall meetings, we're gonna get a report from Amy on the activities out west in Ormond Beach. She's unable to make this town hall, so at the end, we're gonna take question and answers now, and then I'm going to show a video through my computer of that she has prepared for her report for this town hall. So I want to let you know that we won't be taking questions on her specific video, but we'll take them now. And the first question I saw was from Norris. Hey Norris, how are you? The colors. So this is one of our older exhibits on Williamson Property. On a Williamson Property sale. Those colors identify different parcels because at one point there were different parcels that were being offered up or that were being placed under contract. So the easiest way to explain it is that the buyer is going to be purchasing the red, the blue, and the green from the church, and the church is holding on to the gold. But what Julia was just talking about, and we're kind of having some negotiations on, is if you see the gold, which this is kind of oriented improperly, but the north end is actually where it's red right here. And this would be the south end of the property. This is where the proposed retention area is supposed to go. So this parcel over here, kind of down where this gold is the specific area that we're in negotiations with to try to resolve some retention pond issues. However, the church has always said that we wanted to keep 25 usable acres. Even if the church sells this right here, this still is 25 usable acres. So hopefully that answers your question there, Nora. So Scott Say is holding on to the gold. That's a comment. That's not a question. Hey, thanks for joining us. I didn't see any other questions on there. So give me a moment to launch Amy's video. If you have questions that are specific to her ministries out west, I would direct those to her just at her email. We didn't feel comfortable answering questions on her presentation, but. Anyways, thank you for joining us and Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you for being here.
Around 20 years ago, First United had a vision to extend our reach westward and create new places and spaces where people can connect with God and others. 20 years later, the Gathering Place is born. My name is Amy Armistead, and I am the pastor of a brand new United Methodist Church in the Daytona Beach area, the Gathering Place.
Well, we came up with a lot of we brainstormed name after name after name, and everybody kept coming back to the Gathering, and it really fit. It really fit because it meant that it's not necessarily a building. It's not a church, it's not brick and mortar, it's a river, it's a trail, it's a book club, it's whatever you want it to be.
The Gathering Place exists to rediscover the ways people of faith gather and encounter God. This might look like hiking groups, paddles and parables, or small groups in a coffee shop or a park, because we know that wherever two or more are gathered, Christ is in their midst. The Gathering Place is founded on 6 core beliefs. We gather. Our encounter with Jesus doesn't end when a worship service does. We value authentic encounters with God and others over entertainment. We welcome. Our community is made better when everyone has a seat at the table. We cultivate curiosity because faith is a journey, not a destination. And part of that journey includes wrestling with those big topics of faith. Do they? The foundation of our faith is rooted in Jesus' commandment to love God and neighbor. The gathering place seeks to love and serve our local community. So we partner with organizations that are already transforming our neighborhoods, like Westside Elementary School, Derbyshire Place, Hub, New Start, Beacon Center, and more. We grow. We explore opportunities to transform ourselves, our community, and the world through Jesus' radical and all-encompassing. And finally, rest. Church should not just be another thing you add to your growing to-do list. Our spiritual community offers moments of rest and renewal. In a world plagued by busyness and that overwhelming feeling that you're not doing enough or you're not enough, Jesus invites us into the counter-cultural practice of slow.
My hope of the gathering place is that we would take the commitment that our church made 20 years ago and bring it into the future. Take their hopes, their dreams, their prayers, their financial obligation, and bring it into the present and the future. And give it all the love and the consideration that we would have given it then, we're giving it now.
I look for the gathering place that space that people can get to know Jesus in different ways, have the need to ask questions and doubt different aspects of Jesus.
If you're interested in this new expression of First United, or are curious about how to love Jesus and others in new and exciting ways, join us this Saturday, December 19th at 4 p.m. at the Plymouth Avenue entrance. We're going to be gathering together for carols in the park. Or follow us on social media. Like our Facebook or Instagram feed and find out ways to gather intentionally as an online community.